Canelo or Crawford?
It's tricky. I want Crawford to win, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. You know, I would like for that to happen, but this guy's a hard puncher. He's a smart fighter. He can move. I'm just curious. I just want to see it. I want to be there to see it.
He feels like this is a ridiculous fight. He states that Terence Crawford moving up 2 weight classes.
Fight, I just didn't like the fact that Terence Crawford had to go up 2 weight classes. I just didn't really like that.
Mike Tyson gave his blunt opinion on Terence Crawford moving up to fight Canelo Alvarez. Tyson believes Crawford doesn't need to take this fight because he is already a legend with nothing left to prove. He explained that stepping up against a naturally bigger opponent is dangerous and could harm Crawford's legacy instead of adding to it. According to Tyson, weight classes exist for a reason, and ignoring them gives the bigger fighter a huge advantage. While he respects Crawford's skill, Tyson insists the smarter decision is protecting what he has already accomplished.
I just don't think it was a good idea. You know, I don't think, what would he have? I don't know. I just don't think it was a good idea. People have done things crazy like that before. It's just that he doesn't have to do it. He doesn't have to do it.
You posted the other day, there's a picture of you in a Rolls Royce, and you said, the quote is, "I can't remember how many of these I gave away."
Canelo or Crawford?
It's tricky. I want Crawford to win, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. You know, I would like for that to happen, but this guy's a hard puncher. He's a smart fighter. He can move. I'm just curious. I just want to see it. I want to be there to see it. Because listen, there's been upsets like that before. You know, Henry Armstrong, 124 pounds, he beat the 146-pound champ. So, you know, you never know. Anything can happen when 2 men are in a ring or in a basketball court. Anything.
Tyson went further, calling the proposed matchup ridiculous because weight classes are meant to protect fighters. He emphasized that the size difference between Crawford and Canelo is simply too big to ignore. For Tyson, this fight brings unnecessary risk and overshadows Crawford's true greatness. He warned that facing a naturally larger champion could hurt, not help, Crawford's career. Though he admires Crawford, Tyson made it clear that he doesn't like the idea of this fight at all.
Think about Terence Crawford calling out Canelo.
You know, I don't like that fight.
Why not?
I don't like that fight. It's just too much weight, you know, and he had a close fight with the last guy he fought, Terence, because this guy was big and he was awkward. He was really awkward. He shouldn't have fought that guy. He should have fought a guy that was just come straight at him. The guy was too awkward.
He's herky-jerky, yeah.
Dora want to know.
Yeah.
See, there's it's a missing.
9 wins by way of knockout. And Mike Tyson, he feels like this is a ridiculous fight. He states that Terence Crawford moving up 2 weight classes is a ridiculous fight, and that he's just simply too small, and he's gonna lose, and lose bad. He feels like he didn't want to say it, but he hinted around he's gonna get knocked out, right? He thinks that, you know, Terence Crawford has skills, he's talented, but he just feels like there's weight class for a reason. Like many people in the sport of boxing, they feel like it's weight classes for a reason. And so, you know, he's not the first person to feel this way. But my thoughts is this. Should Terence Crawford be victorious, as I expect him to, the hype train for Terence Crawford's legacy only gets bigger. Because there's so many people that are doubting Terence Crawford's ability to beat Canelo Alvarez because of the size, right? They feel like this is David and Goliath. And that story, that mythical story, is so big and so legendary is because of the size difference. You had the small little guy, you know, slaying the giant, right? It's just simply not supposed to happen. And so this just bolsters the myth.
Boxing veteran Dawood Bey compared how Crawford and Canelo prepare for their biggest fights. He pointed out that Canelo has always surrounded himself with elite sparring partners who mimic upcoming opponents. creating tough sessions to expose weaknesses and sharpen strategies. Crawford, meanwhile, is known for his adaptability and technical brilliance. But Bey questioned whether his sparring is enough to prepare for such a big jump in weight. Bey stressed that sparring cannot replicate the reality of facing a naturally larger champion like Canelo. Bey also noted that Crawford doesn't need this fight to prove greatness. He is undefeated, a multi-division world champion, and widely respected as one of the best of his generation. According to Bey, fans already love Crawford for his dominance and skill. Moving up to weight classes against Canelo adds unnecessary risk and could damage his legacy. Bey views it as more of a gamble than a necessity.
Well, Canelo got a world champion right now in his camp with him with Boots. Well, Boots vacated.
Shakur, though.
Yeah, well, I don't know how much Shakur adds to this. He's a southpaw, and he's a smaller guy. I think that's just sharp brain. That's like if Boots was boxing Celine. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I'm boxing him. My young boy nice, but he don't pertain to the fight necessarily. But everybody don't train like that anyway. Everybody don't look for to have all of their sparring partners be like identical or in the same realm of the person they fighting. Some people, they spar like for sharp minds, so they'll just try to have the best people they can have. So you never know what Bomac and them strategy is right there.
As far as stylistically, who do you feel like has the advantage heading into that? Well, I'm just looking at the sparring partners.
From the sparring partners?
Yeah.
I think Boots not the same as Terence Crawford, right? But I think he has athleticism and he's a switcher and he'll kind of go off for the playbook to do his thing. I think mind state wise, I think Boots is a big help. The guys that Crawford got in there, because
Mr. Martinez cracking.
No, he punching. That's what I'm saying. It's like, I feel like, bro, I don't know who got the best of that.
You ever seen Darrell Boussaint?
I have. You know, I'm a Haitian boy, so you know what I'm saying? But it's just hard. It's hard to, man, I just think the sparring for this fight is elite on both sides. I think that they both taking each other seriously. You could tell that by the sparring partners that they brought in. And I'm just kind of anxious to see the fight. Like going into the fight, I just didn't like the fact that Terence Crawford had to go up 2 weight classes. I just didn't really like that. I mean, being honest, as a black boxing fan, when I take my coaching hat off, like, no, I don't want to see our best fighter have to go up 2 weight classes. I don't like that. But you think about it and you like, well, look, first of all, I don't want to deny that man. I wouldn't want to say nothing or even have it in my heart to deny that man that kind of financial like blessing that he gonna get from fighting Canelo. Not only that,
British journalist Gareth A. Davies offered a different take, framing Crawford versus Canelo as a potential defining moment in boxing history. He explained that every legendary fighter faces a challenge that tests their courage, ambition, and skill. And for Crawford, this could be that moment. By fighting Canelo, Davies argues, Crawford has a chance to silence critics and secure his place among the all-time greats. Davies admitted the risks are enormous, as one mistake could damage Crawford's flawless record. Still, he believes these kinds of high-stakes fights are what turn champions into icons. For him, the fight is about more than size and weight. It is about legacy and how Crawford will be remembered.
The levels that he's gone through, the weights that he's gone through, and the opponents that he has been in with. He's come up short against a couple, but he's come through some big challenges as well through his, 65, 66 professional bouts since he was 15 years of age. There's no doubt that this is the biggest test of Terence Crawford's career, not only because of the weight step up, but also because of the level of the opponent. But anybody that's watched Terence Crawford's career knows full well how much talent this young man has. I mean, he is absolutely sensational, both as an orthodox and as a southpaw fighter. You can't really tell which is his favoured side. He's that good, the angles that he creates. And the way that he not only dissects people, but the way that he puts his foot down when he gets somebody hurt is
he's spiteful.
He's truly, truly impressive.
But what he also does, and this is where I think people are making the mistake with the fight with Israel Madrimov last summer in Los Angeles, was that Terence doesn't mind doing enough to win. He doesn't, if he knows He's got to win on points. He's happy to tuck everything neatly in the office and win round by round. It reminds me of Floyd Mayweather. It reminds me of Pernell Whitaker. It reminds me of guys that win with ease without overstretching themselves, that don't have to get in a battle. But when he's got someone hurt, as you rightly say, he's spiteful. I'm not sure he'll get Canelo hurt in this fight. But if his timing and his movement are on, the slightly slowed Canelo, who likes to load up these days, could find himself frustrated by Terence Crawford.
Yeah, and there's also the aspect of when he is behind. I mean, we've all seen that famous clip where he's fighting Sean Porter. Somebody sells him ringside. They've got him down on the cards. He goes through the gears and stops Sean Porter in the very next round. There's also that element to him. He's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. But he's also fighting someone that's equally as brilliant. A very different type of style, Canelo.
And an analyst broke down Canelo Alvarez's view on movement in boxing. Often criticized as running, Canelo dismissed. This negative label, explaining that smart footwork, positioning, and angles are just as important as punching. He pointed to opponents like Arislandi Lara, whose sharp movement and timing displayed true boxing skill. The analyst highlighted Canelo's belief that boxing success comes from combining precision, strategy, and ring IQ, not just aggression or forward pressure. In Canelo's eyes, movement is not running. It is part of the sport's complexity and key to mastering it.
But in case you didn't really understand what he was saying, Canelo is saying there's a difference between boxing, like being a boxer, and moving, and then you throw some punches. Like you getting some punches in there. Then you like take a lap. Then you get some more punches. Right? And I agree with that. I agree. Like, my thing is this. If you know my channel, I've been doing this from way back. We go back like cornrows. I have never really been big on this whole, like, running language. Like, I don't, because you got to understand, old media, they were the ones that came out with this whole running charade. And I don't like it because it was initially used to like maim and marginalize oftentimes black fighters and Cuban fighters. When non-black, non-Cuban fighters would face certain black fighters or Cuban fighters primarily, they would get hit with this like, oh, he ran moniker. And the reason you know it was racially motivated is because if you actually know boxing and you watch the fight, that's not even what was happening in the fights where they would claim that oftentimes a black fighter or Cuban fighter ran. Like Arislandi Lara versus Canelo. I thought Lara won the fight with Canelo. And Lara was doing some very good work. Canelo started doing some good body shots.
Timothy Bradley Jr. responded to concerns about Crawford's inactivity. Many fear long layoffs could dull Crawford's rhythm, but Bradley disagrees, reminded fans. That elite fighters, including Floyd Mayweather, often returned after breaks and still performed at the highest level. Bradley believes Crawford is disciplined enough to stay sharp outside the ring, maintaining top physical condition at all times. In his view, Crawford will enter the fight fully prepared. Talk of ring rust is exaggerated.
Yeah, man, I was thinking, man, like, a lot of people is making a fuss about Crawford being out of the ring for over a year, you know. I'm not putting too much stock into that, man. I'm not really, you know, Floyd Mayweather's came back from after a year. Shoot, I remember John Jones, 3 years out of the game. You know, and I know it's a different sport, but it's still combat sports. 3 years out of the game, came back, faced the champion, beat him, beat the champion. You know, Crawford took the time to really build his body up, man, the way he needed to build it up. And I like his build because just looking at pictures and stuff like that, man, he put a lot of the weight on his legs. You know, that's going to help with stability. That's going to help with punching power. It's going to help with his ability to be able to take a shot, too. You know, he get razzled and dazzled in there from one of them big shots from Canelo. You know, he going to have some stability. He going to have a base to be able to keep himself up, you know. I always say, partly to be able to take a punch, I say, you know what, it's a lot to do with physical. It also has a lot to do with mental, and it also has a lot to do with genetics. Some guys can take it more than others. That's just it. Some guys can take it more than others, man. But, I would say we all feel like the same thing when we do get hit with a big shot. You hear that ringing in your ears. That's your brain bouncing around off that skull. Bouncing around off that skull. Some part of you get numb. Especially if it's a big shot. Your legs might get numb, your arm might get numb. I remember when I got knocked on my behind against Kendall Holt.